All right, so good morning, everybody. My name is Jesse, and I'm your virtual adventure guide here today with Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. If you're joining us for the first time, and I know we do have some new faces in the crowd today, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world. Now, this program today came together insanely quickly. We just got it on our docket 2 days ago, and 33 classes from around the world registered to join us. So bravo to all of you for coming in on such short notice to learn about some incredible creatures, jellyfish or jellies, at Ripley's Aquarium of Canada. We have done over 40 programs with Ripley's over the last few years. I used to work at Ripley's as an educator, and so it's so exciting to share the wide and wonderful world of the ocean with all of you guys. Now, I'm going to turn it over to Vanessa. She is an educator there like I used to be, but she's better than I am. And she is going to walk us through these incredible creatures and take all your questions at the end. So if you guys are as excited as I am, let's dive in and take it away. Vanessa, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you. So, yeah, like I was saying, I'm standing in our Planet Jellies exhibit at the aquarium. So we do have a few different species of jellyfish. We have our Pacific sea nettles, our upside down jellyfish, our moon jellyfish, and my favorite, the blue blubber jellyfish. I'm going to show you guys all those soon. So there are about 200 known jellyfish species, with the largest one being the lion's mane jellyfish. Those guys are known to grow to a length of 120 feet. So for those guys who can't visualize that, that is the height of an average skyscraper. So that is massive. In contrast, the smallest jellyfish species that we know is the Irkujan Ganji jellyfish, which is only about a centimeter big. So if everyone can point out their middle finger or one of their fingers, it's about that width. So it's very, very small. So jellyfish are found both at surface level and deep water, as well as warm and cold water. So they are found all over the world. So right now, you guys, we are right in front of our largest jellyfish exhibit, our Pacific sea nettles. You see them swimming around. We currently have 18 of them in total in this tank right now. So there is quite a few. Pacific sea nettles have a golden brown bell, which is that rounded part you're going to see up. It kind of looks like their head. Their bell can grow over 1 meter in diameter. So even though it's not the largest kind of jellyfish, it is still pretty big. And I did say the bell is golden brown in color, but you might not be seeing that because they are actually changing color. So I've had a lot of people asking me, why on earth are they changing color? Are they even real? Or is it just a TV projection? So these guys are 100% real. We just have light shining onto them to change their color so they're more visible to our guests. So you can see them change color. Right now they're yellow, and they might go to a reddish color now. Yep. So Pacific sea nettles have 24 tentacles. So those are those projections that you see growing off of their bell. And they can grow up to 15 feet, which is pretty big. One cool thing about the Pacific sea nettles is how their oral arms look. None of them are in front of me right now, so I'm just going to switch the camera over. Do you see the jellyfish now?
Yeah, we've got them. They're fantastic. We got them on the bottom left. We've got our trailing tentacles.
Yeah, so those are our oral arms you're seeing. They kind of look fluffy to me.
Yes.
And those help the jellyfish eat. So even though jellyfish are called jellyfish, they're not actually fish. They're a kind of invertebrate, which is an organism without a backbone. So they're more related to things like coral or sea stars than actual fish. Something interesting about jellyfish that I want to share with everyone today is that they don't actually have a brain or a heart. They don't even have blood. So that's something I think that's pretty cool. Even though they don't have a brain, they are aware of their surroundings because they have sensory cells at the base of each tentacle. So they are able to detect things like temperature, light, and touch. Even though they don't have a brain, they are not very good swimmers. Even though you see them swimming around, they're just floating with the current. So they spend most of their life just drifting along with the current. And that is something that is very important for us working at the aquarium, because we want to make sure that when we're designing a tank, we don't have any corners or solid objects or edges or anything that could hurt the jellyfish. So you might be seeing that there's no plants or gravel in this tank, and that's one of the reasons is because they can't swim that well, so we don't want them bumping into anything by accident. So now that you know that jellyfish don't have a brain and aren't very good at swimming, You might wonder, how are jellyfish able to find their food? Jellyfish are carnivores, meaning that they do eat animal products. In the wild, jellyfish eat plankton, other jellyfish, and sometimes they even eat some fish. Here at the aquarium, we feed them fish eggs, frozen krill, as well as brine shrimp that we grow behind the scenes, especially for these guys. So what they do is they do have a stinger, as a lot of you guys know, and they have a specialized cell called a nematocyst, and that contains the venomous barb. So it's located on all of their tentacles. So then they sting their prey and they're able to bring it in through their oral arms into their mouth. So something cool about these guys is their mouth is located in the middle of their bell, but that's also where their bums are. So they actually expel waste or poop through the same hole that they eat. So in other words, their mouth is their butt. So as we know, jellyfishes do have a sting, and their sting can range from super poisonous and even fatal to not very poisonous at all and just a little uncomfortable. Here at the aquarium, we only have jellyfish that are just mildly uncomfortable to make sure that it is safe for our aquarists, which are the people who take care of the animals. If you didn't know, it's like our zookeepers. So I did mention that jellyfish eat jellyfish, but they're also eaten by fish, crustaceans, and turtles. Yep, turtles do eat jellyfish, if you didn't know that. So this can be a pretty big problem because of plastic pollution, like plastic bags that are easy to mistake for jellyfish floating in the ocean, especially when they're drifting along the ocean and they're kind of see-through in a way, so the turtles might accidentally eat them, and that can make them very sick, the plastic. So this is especially a problem when you have species that are already endangered, like the leatherback sea turtle. But there are some things that we can do to protect species. And one thing you can do is by reducing our plastic usage. So you want to be choosing reusable items like reusable water bottles and mugs instead of disposable, which is something that you would just throw out once you're done using it. So in the wild, there are more jellyfish than normal, and they form large groups called blooms. This can be dangerous for people because no one wants to swim through a school of jellyfish. I know I wouldn't want to. And this can be another problem for fishing because it clogs up the machinery in boats. There are a few reasons why jellyfish are becoming more common in the wild, and that is one reason is because jellyfish are very hardy creatures that can withstand a lot of change. So algae blooms remove the oxygen in the environments that makes it pretty tough for wildlife, but not for these guys. These guys can live right through it. So climate change does play a factor as well. And one more factor contributing to the overpopulation of these species is that there is overfishing happening, so there is less competition for resources. So before I take some questions, I want to take this opportunity to show you the other jellyfish we have at the aquarium. So I'm going to walk you over first to our moon jellyfish.
How exciting. I always like going into this part. It's always been one of my favorite parts of the aquarium.
Can you guys see the moon jellyfish up there?
We sure can.
Yeah. So they are almost entirely translucent or see-through and are identified by 4 horseshoe shapes on their bell. So I don't know if you can get a pretty good look because they're up on our ceiling. Let's see if I can find one a little bit closer. We have a few over here because they're just getting their tank cleaned. So you might be able to see them in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
They look all glooped together in that one.
Yeah,
Like
because we're getting our tanks clean, so we don't want our divers to get hurt. It's very early in the morning for us, so we're still getting ready for the day. So the next jellyfish I want to show you are our upside down jellyfish. I'm just going to point the camera over. Do you guys see those guys?
Yeah, there are little circles in the bottom for kids who might be.
Yes, the circles on the bottom, exactly. So these guys are our warmer water jellyfish. They are found in warmer coasts along the world, and they have a symbiotic relationship with algae. So you might be wondering, why are they upside down? So they have a certain kind of algae in them that allows them to gather nutrients directly from the algae. So that's why they're upside down, is because they have to have their bottoms facing the light. So we have a UV light over there, which mimics the sun.
Vanessa, I'm curious if you could go down and see if we can see them through the water, through the glass, because we might, yeah, there we go. We get a little more of the color that way. Perfect. Look at that. Fantastic. They're so beautiful.
And the last ones, like I said, these guys are my personal favorite. Oh, and we have a diver in the water right now doing some cleaning. There's our diver. And here are the blue blubber jellyfish. They are in a bag right now just to keep our diver safe while she's doing her cleaning.
Oh, if you move back just a little bit, we get
they are one of the few kinds of jellyfish that are actually able to swim. Though they might not swim very well, they don't just float with the current, they do swim on their own.
Fantastic. Vanessa, if you back up just a little bit, we get more of a reflection of the phone. There we go. So they're in our bag right now. You don't see them quite the way that you normally see them, but it's important to note that we do have divers go in the tanks, and I'm really glad we got the chance to see this so early in the morning there too, which is awesome. Fantastic.
And here is just how our divers clean our tanks. So you see our diver in there, scrubbing off all the algae, making sure it's nice and clean for our jellyfish.
Nice.
So I'm going to head back over to our sea nettles exhibit so I can take some questions.
Amazing. Well, we want to thank you first and foremost for such a great whistle-stop tour of some of the amazing jellies at Ripley's Aquarium.
Thank
yes,
you.
back to our,
it was wonderful talking to you guys.
Back to our super colorful tank to get set up here. I know we got a little tiny bit of a delay, and that's
find a jellyfish.
Here we are. Oh, we're going to get Vanessa's
There
camera.
we go.
Perfectly. Cool. Well, Vanessa, I'm going to take questions. I'm going to head to our first class. We've got Miss Moore's our global scholars in Asheville, North Carolina. If you guys want to kick us off with a question, welcome to the broadcast, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Wow. How does a jellyfish, survive with the ocean? Because I know man wars and they just drift off. How do they really?
Are you wondering how they don't get eaten, or are they wondering how they don't just end up in the middle somewhere, or what's the?
Oh, both.
Bit of both. So how do they survive? They just drift with the current, Vanessa. Doesn't
Yes,
seem like a
they
very
just drift
successful
with the current.
strategy.
They go with the flow, so to speak.
And it's worth noting too that jellyfish have been around for a very, very, very long time, like way older than dinosaurs, older than sharks. So as a strategy, just drifting in the current and picking up things that happen to run into you or that you reach out to with your tentacles is a remarkably effective way of surviving. And so I guess the real question jellyfish could ask is, how do you humans stay alive up there on the surface, being silly, walking around? What's going on? So there's my turning it back on you in Miss Moore's class. Let's head to Miss Flora's class, grade 2s. If you guys have a question for us, come on in.
Oh, that's us. My friend Dallas has a question.
How do they lay eggs?
How do they lay eggs, or do they lay eggs? Both.
They don't. So we can show you some of our baby jellyfish if you want to see them.
Yes.
Yes. So this is the life cycle of the jellyfish. Can you guys see that big chart?
Yep.
They do release some eggs into the water, and they turn into larvae. Then they turn into a polyp, which attaches to the bottom of the water. And then they become a budding polyp, and then a euphoria. And then the Medusa stage, which is the adult stage, is the stage that we all know as jellyfish. So over here, I don't know if you guys are able to see it, we have our baby larva over there attached to this part over here. See all the little specks?
Yeah. So Vanessa, just a note for you too. I know this is the worst part of the aquarium in total for its connection because you're right in the very belly of the building. So we see things. It's a little less clear than it otherwise could be, but we do see the platforms that the specks are on.
Yes.
Very cool. And then as they get older, yes, we've got these.
As they get older, they turn into this sort of shape. So a euphoria. Kind of looks like a star, and then they continue on into the jellyfish that we see today.
Nice. By the way, I encourage all our classes to look up the ephira when they start because they're on a stalk. So there'll be like 20 of them linked together, and they'll just pop off the top, and then one will go away, and then the next one will pop off and sort of going through the water current. It's one of my favorite things in all of nature. So I really encourage you guys to check that out. All right, Miss Horwoods, grade 3s, unmute your mic, and you're good to go for a question. Hey, guys.
All right.
Hi.
I have Samantha with a really good question. Samantha, do you want to come stand with us so we can see him? Nice. Come out.
Oh, could you repeat that for us? Sorry.
Nice. How did jellyfish
How do they eat? Yes, how do they eat, Vanessa? Oh, Vanessa, did you catch that?
No, what was the question? Sorry.
It's how do they eat? How do they actually take in food? Yeah.
They sting their prey, and then you see these oral arms, those big fluffy things. They're able to bring it into the middle of their bell, which is their mouth.
So they've got a little mouth, just like us. Not just like us. They don't have the jaw. They don't have any teeth like we do. No shiny pearly whites. But they are able to take things into their stomach like us. And the cool thing with jellyfish is you can see the things being digested in them. So imagine if your stomach were just a big window and you could see things sort of being mucked up in there. That's what we can do with jellyfish, which is kind of freaky, kind of cool, very Halloween for those who want to keep the fun alive. Miss Sunderland's class, you guys have your devices off, but if you want to unmute your mic, I can come to you in a minute. I will head to Miss Fisher's class first, though, for another live question. Hey, guys.
Hi there, this is Mattia.
How are all jellyfish poisonous?
Good question.
So they are all poisonous, yes, but they do have varying levels of poisonous, if you want to say it like that. So some of them are just mildly irritating. So if you touch one, it might be uncomfortable, maybe a little bit itchy, but it won't hurt you too much. And then some of them will definitely kill you. So it varies a lot, depending on the species.
It's very good to know when you go swimming in places around the world what the situation is with jellyfish. So Australia classically has some very dangerous jellyfish that people are very worried about, and sometimes they actually don't let you swim off their beaches. But I do encourage all our students to look up the jellyfish lake in a place called Palau, where people regularly go and swim with thousands and thousands of jellyfish around them, totally unscathed, totally fine. Just a very cool place on this planet. Great question, guys. All right, Miss Sunderland's class, thanks for sharing in the chat. How do jellyfish see? Do they see? Do they have eyes, Vanessa?
No, they do not.
No eyes at all. So no, can they take in light? I'm curious. There's some creatures that don't have eyes like we have eyes, but they can sense light and sort of move towards it. Do they have any abilities like that?
So they do have neurons, which are brain cells that are located on their tentacles. So these things that project off of their bell, and they are able to detect light, temperature, that sort of stuff. Yep.
Okay.
But they don't see like you and I do.
Right. Fantastic. All right. We're going to take a few quick questions from YouTube. Then we'll head back to our live classes in this rapid fire jelly extravaganza. So Mr. Bordaluzzi's class wants to know how many times can one jellyfish sting? So if it stings something, can it sting again instantly? Does it have to recharge, or how does it work?
I believe it can re-sting again.
So that on jellyfish, we've got something like a viper has a bunch of venom inside a pocket inside its mouth. So when it bites you, when it envenomates you, all that comes out. And so they're very sparing with that because they do need it to recharge. With jellies, you have little cells that have little barbs in them. And so if a few of its tentacles hit something, the barb shoots out. That barb needs to regenerate, but the other tentacle over here isn't out of venom or out of something to envenomate things because of that. So it depends on if all their tentacles hit something. It depends on if one hits something. It's sort of a nuanced answer, but I love the question. All right, how do the jellyfish change colors from Miss Fio's class? And I'm really glad we got this question. Can you explain a little bit about the colors changing there on screen?
Yep, so they are not actually changing color themselves. We do have lights that project into the tank, and they change the colors for us. So they are naturally a reddish, brownish kind of color, like rusty color. But we just project the lights on, so it's more visible to you guys, because they are a little bit transparent, which means that you can see sort of through them.
Yes. There are some creatures that can change color really well, and we've actually done programs with Ripley's on cephalopods like squid, cuttlefish, octopus that are the master color changers of the ocean, but the jellies stay the same. We promise. As cool as it looks to have them here like this, it's deceiving. Let's head back to Miss Moore's class. You guys have a second one for us? Go on in. Hey, guys.
Okay, Eli.
What was I? Oh God, Eli. What do you think? Someone else has a question.
Okay, Sam.
I forgot.
Hey, Hazel, come on.
Why do I?
Okay, Iris.
The Forget-A-Ganza.
Iris.
Okay. So I have a question. So you said when jellyfish eat their poop comes out of their mouth.
Yeah.
So does it basically evaporate in the water, or does it sit on the bottom?
Stick around. Are there concrete things left in the water after the jellyfish excrete, Vanessa?
I am not too sure. I have never seen one poop.
It would be most things in the ocean, when they have waste come out, it does disperse fairly rapidly. So the only exceptions to that are the bigger animals like big sharks, whales, and whatnot. But I love that question. And also, Eli, your response when you forgot your thing was one of my favorite things I've ever had in 1200 broadcasts. Thank you very much. That was amazing. Miss Flora's class, grade 2, we're going to come to you guys. You got about 5
All right. Everybody wave. All right. I have Landon here who has a question.
Did you name your jellyfish?
Ooh, what do we think?
No, our jellyfish don't have names here at the aquarium. We do have a lot of animals that do have names, like our turtles are named Chewy and Spot, but our jellyfish do not have names.
One of the troubles is that they're hard to tell apart. It's very hard to see two jellyfish and know, oh, that's that one. Whereas the turtles, the bigger sharks, things like that are very easily distinguished. So I like that question. A nice thought for the jellies. If you have one jellyfish, you can by all means name it. Very easy. Miss Horowitz class, come on back in, guys. Unmute your mic and you're good to go. Hey.
All right, I have Luke here who has a really good question.
Hey.
Who discovered jellyfish?
Can you come tell us a little closer?
Who discovered jellyfish?
Vanessa, did you catch that?
No, I didn't catch that.
Excellent. Who discovered jellyfish?
Who discovered jellyfish? Sorry, buddy. There you go. Do we know who discovered them, Vanessa?
Do we know who discovered them?
Yes.
No, I am not too sure.
No, so worth noting that jellyfish are very ubiquitous around coast. There's a lot of them. So way back in the dawn of man, literally several 100,000 years ago, when people found the oceans, they would have found jellyfish. There's, to my knowledge, no recorded instance of the first person to identify a jellyfish. They're so common, it would be like saying, who's the first person to find a fish? It's not really something that has a set answer like that. It's not like it's something we found in 1900 or 1700 even. It would have been thousands and thousands of years ago in pre-recorded history. Good question, guys. All right, we're going to take two more before we wrap up. Miss Sunderland's class want to know, do jellyfish travel in groups? Good question.
They don't necessarily travel in groups the way that fish school, but they are found in large clusters called blooms. So they just happen to be in the same area, I believe, but they don't necessarily swim together on purpose.
Yeah, so something that actually just goes with the flow of the current, can't identify something and go and find it necessarily, but by virtue of the fact that they have babies around them, they're all together, they grow up sort of in agglomeration, you'll have them together, but different situation than a typical school or cluster of creatures. Vanessa, time flies and you're having fun. We're going to take one more question in Miss Fisher's class and then wrap up from there. Come on in, guys, and take us away. Hey, come on mute, though. Hello. Yeah, take your time. Nice. Hi.
Sorry, we have Justin.
He's got a question for us.
Perfect.
Who's that? Can jellyfish paralyze you?
Can jellyfish paralyze you, Vanessa?
Yes, some definitely can.
Yeah, we've got some, again, very, very dangerous ones, particularly off the coast of Australia. People think about when they think about some of the more dangerous species. So again, if you're ever swimming somewhere tropical especially, ask locals, make sure you talk with local lifeguards, make sure you're not going to be in a situation where you're ever put in danger by a jellyfish, and you can just enjoy them because they're so, so beautiful. Vanessa, is there any last message about jellies we can leave people with before we let them go for the day? This has been so much fun.
I don't think there's anything I want to leave you off with besides the fact that we do want to reduce our plastic consumption just so we don't hurt other creatures that live in the ocean like our turtle friends.
Fantastic. Well, it's been a pleasure as always. What we do to end every broadcast, Vanessa, I'm going to bring in all our teachers to say a big thank you and farewell. So Ms. Moore, Ms. Floor, Ms. Horwood, Ms. Fisher, if you guys want to join me in saying thanks to Vanessa and the Ripley's team, you are all in the broadcast.